now it's 10, okay.
Go.
Sorry, I'm so anal.
Glad you were. Good.
Okay, I'd like to call the October 13th, 2025 regular board meeting to order. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Item 1.1 is flag salute and call to order. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to item 1.2, approval and adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Thank you, Nancy. A second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Item 1.3, approval and adoption of the minutes of the 9/8/25 meeting. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1.3 passes. Moving on to item 1.4, approval adoption of the minutes of our 9/23/25 meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve those minutes.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll second.
Thank you, Nancy. All in favor?
Aye.
1.4 is approved. Moving on to item 1.5, remote attendance of a board member. We always put this on here now.
We will until, unless it's extended, I believe it expires in January, but this is in the event that a board member is not able to attend in person due to certain circumstances, but while it still exists, we'll keep it on the agenda so that that's an option.
Yeah, and it's a great one because some of us have other things.
Can I ask a question about this item?
Sure.
So so we won't have this option after January, is that correct?
Unless it's extended, and I don't have an update on that right now.
Was this due to the COVID?
It was.
It's
It's
the
it's a hanger oner from COVID days.
All right. Moving on to item 1.6, public participation. Do we have any? Okay.
Can you just jump off? I let her in the room, but
Is it Bina?
my internet connection keeps yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and admit her. Thank you.
There's Bina.
I think you want to acknowledge her.
Hi, Bina. Welcome to the meeting. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, there we go. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Tell me when you want me to start.
Oh, we're ready for you.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, Board President, Superintendent, and Trustees. I am Bina Lefkowitz, with the President of ACCBE, and I'm here today to just thank you. Thank your board for being founding members of ACCBE, of the Association of the California County Boards of Education. I wish I could be there in person, but thank you for having me on Zoom. We are especially grateful to Nancy Bennett for who is your ACCBE board representative, whose insights and leadership have helped guide our work in alignment with your county's vision and mission. In just 9 months since our launch, together we've built real momentum. 36 county boards have joined ACCBE, creating a strong, unified voice for county boards of trustees across California. I hope you've seen our free and frequent training and networking invitations, our weekly newsletters, and soon you'll receive our very first annual report. We promise to deliver advocacy, training, and connection, and we have, in at least 4 big ways. On trustee excellence, we've offered 9 statewide governance trainings covering county budgets, board calendars and retreats, governance, roles, advocacy, and positive board culture, just to name a few. We've hosted 5 big idea events, with experts. We've spotlighted statewide leaders like Linda Darling Hammond and experts in career education, apprenticeships, and early learning. And we launched a new series called Court and Community School Deep Dive. And we also hosted a student board rep networking. On advocacy, we hosted 2 legislative forums, including one with the Assembly Education Chair. And our advocacy committee has reviewed dozens of bills supporting 9 bills, several that have now been signed into law. On partnerships, we've built monthly collaborations with the county superintendents and the Small School Districts Association to align our priorities and amplify county voices. Looking ahead, we're planning our first statewide conference in March with Small School Districts Association, 2 regional in-person gatherings, and a new resource hub. And we're expanding our partnerships to elevate your work and your student success. And of course, we'll continue our online trainings that we offer. As we hope you'll renew your 2026 ACCB membership, please let us know how we can continue to support your board's goals, especially for our most at-promise students. We'd be honored to present at a future meeting to share more and if you would like to, and to hear from you directly. But mostly we want to thank you. Thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and your belief in what county boards can do together. So thank you for having me today, and thank you again.
Thank you for joining us, Bina.
Okay, have a great day.
Thank you. And thank you,
Bina.
Nancy.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, Bina. Well, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
She's really got some good energy. All right. Do you want to add anything, Nancy, or?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Not at this time.
Okay.
Thanks.
I just wanted to acknowledge you and appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Moving on to correspondence, we have none. Our consent agenda, we have none. Moving on to our action discussion, item 4.1, our resolution 25.10.1, California Retired Teachers Week. This is one that we.
Yes, this comes annually, and I'm not gonna read the resolution, but many in our county, many retired teachers in our county are still very active in schools as either substitutes or volunteers, but they're also doing advocacy for educators and for students. And we have an active California Retired Teachers Association chapter in our county, and so it is our honor to bring this resolution to you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments on 4.1? If not, then I'd like to entertain a motion.
I move that we approve resolution number 25.10.1.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you, Don Kruger, as part of the retired teachers.
Yes,
We gotta recognize that.
it's an
Sure.
active group.
Your
on the
ongoing
course.
service.
Yeah.
Moving on to item 4.2, this is also an annual item, a consideration of county superintendent's salary. Does anyone have any question or comment about this?
I am bringing this to you a month earlier than I would normally, and that is because we have 3 new board members who have never been part of this discussion before. And I wanna make sure that if there's additional information that any board member would like, that we, if the board's would like that information before taking action, I can come back next month. But you see here a summary of what has been done in the past and the what the request for compensation is this year, and again, that would be taking effect January 1st. And in short, it would be a 1.5% salary increase to the salary schedule for the superintendent, and it would be a one-time $2,000 off-schedule payment. That percent increase and that one-time payment are also what all employees got. And additionally, a request to move from step 3 to step 4, moving to my 4th year in position. And then there are comparisons there for your reference.
Thank you, Nicole.
I appreciated seeing all the data, the comparisons, and then also having the policy, because it reminds us of ed code and law and all that good stuff.
I did have a question. Can you explain to me what the off-salary schedule payment, how does that work? What does that mean?
So the other employees just got theirs, and it's basically it's almost like a bonus.
Okay.
Bonus is not the right term for it because bonus is what you get when you do something extra. It is what districts and MCOEs sometimes do when we see that we have some money to give, but we can't commit to continuing. And so it is usually preferable to give an ongoing salary increase, so you boost that salary schedule on an ongoing basis. That helps with both recruitment and retention. But sometimes you can't do that and you still have something, so you want to give something. So
Gotcha.
that's what that is.
Thank you. And then I did have another question. Where on page 3 of the attachments, attachment A, it talks about the master's degree stipend and a doctorate degree stipend, and even if you had both, you could qualify for the highest. I'm a little confused as far as what the stipend is. Is it because a person in this seat may be working towards one of those, and so that's a stipend usually is meant to offset like an expense because they're a student or
Right. So on our certificated salary schedule, both for certificated, so for like teachers, counselors, and then also for our certificated managers like principals and some of our directors, we have this stipend. It is because it is a desirable, it's desirable for staff to have that, but it's not necessarily required for the position. So it's just a little recognition of that. So it's not necessarily working towards it. It's upon completion, in recognition of that additional level of education.
Okay. So it's kind of like a bonus.
It's
rather than a stipend.
that is more like a bonus
Okay.
than the one-time off salary. Yes.
Okay.
I have a question about that. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
My question was, so when is that paid at the end of the year, beginning of the year?
I believe that's incorporated in monthly.
Yeah, it's averaged over the year. And
Oh, okay. And then my other question is, do you have?
I have a master's degree.
Oh, okay.
I mean, people call me Dr. Glenser sometimes. I always hesitate to correct them because it sounds great. But no, I have a master's degree.
Yeah. I had a question too. I think we had created a salary schedule to sort of save us having to do this every year. And so this is a raise that's on top of your step increase, is it?
Sure, yes. So on page 3, you see the current salary schedule, which last year we increased by 1%, I think, or whatever, yeah. And so this is that schedule. So the salary schedule is in recognition of, rather than just as other staff members have, they move over on the salary schedule for years of experience.
Yeah.
And so that this is in recognition of that, to kind of simulate that. Not simulate, it is the same thing.
But again, the extra 1.5% is on top of it.
Correct, that is correct. And what you see on page 3, the current salary schedule is what we have currently, and the 1.5 shows from steps 1 through 5 what that looks like in each cell.
Yeah. I always, first of all, we built that schedule in to sort of help us avoid this decision, because it's always a little bit of a bothersome decision, at least to me. And Nicole, I'm very happy with you and the job you're doing. All right, and again, the step increase gives you more money, but it's always presented as if this is the same thing that the teachers get. But because your base salary, the mathematics bothers me. Your base salary is so much bigger.
Sure.
It means you get a much bigger raise than the teachers do. And the consequence of that is, over the years, the difference between what a teacher makes and what you make gets much bigger in a hurry. And somehow or other, I'm a little bothered by that. I actually did a lot of research on salaries in other countries one time, and over there in Germany, where they have that fantastic educational system, everyone comes out speaking more than one language. And when I ask my relatives over there, what's the secret to this German economy, you know, China displaced them as the world's largest exporter just a few years ago. And they do it with, I think, something like 30 to 50 million people. They all have the same answer. It's precision German engineering. And over there in that school system, their administrators don't make a whole lot more than teachers do. So, and of course, it sort of connects with a bigger problem that we have in this country, and that is, you know, the CEOs are making millions and millions, and the ordinary workers are hopefully surviving, you know. So I just, you know, somehow or other, and again, we sort of created a salary schedule to help us avoid making this decision. It's built into the system, and so it seems to me like the step increases would be enough.
I remember Michelle, I'm sorry,
I'm done.
putting this 3% in, and at first everyone had an issue thinking, oh boy, that's too much. But when you look at what our neighboring counties are getting, we're also trying to keep our position, our superintendent's position attractive.
Yeah.
I mean, our superintendent will never catch up to UK Unified, which is, it seems like, wait, she should be getting more, how did this happen? But since she's in charge of all of this, I know, it is what it is. I hear what you're saying. I know we did do that. We did do that. So our option is to vote on just the 3% staying or additional 1.5.
Or the normal step.
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
like the fact that this comes before the board every year, because there may be a year that you can't automatically raise someone's salary. But we as trustees should be pretty fiscally, you know, aware. There may be times we can't automatically give someone a raise. And it's hard to take a county superintendent and a teacher's salary, because we're not comparing apples and apples. And I agree, you know, with our county superintendent, I think we need to stay competitive, because this role is our countywide leader. So that's all I have to say.
It is,
you know, in terms of average income, this county is one of the poorest in the states. And then it's also important to recognize that education doesn't happen here. Education happens when teachers and students interact. That's where it happens.
right.
I have a question. Are we taking action at the next board meeting in regards to this action item?
We can take it today if we choose to. We can put it off if we choose to. That's why we're having our questions and discussions, so hopefully we don't have to put it off. But Dawn, I wanted to bring that up again as well, that when Michelle brought this forward, it wasn't so much as so that we don't have the discussion, because we do need to have the discussion every time. We do, because there's sometimes we might not want to raise the
Or
salary.
can't,
And
not
that's
that we don't want to.
That's one of our real things we can do, is set superintendent's salary. That's right in there in our job, one of our first items in our job description. But I wanted to point out that she put this in here to try and be more competitive, the 3%. And at first we balked and went, wow, that's gonna be a lot in the next few years. But if you look at it, it's real. I wish all of our wages went up 3%.
And that's the question I had. Does the analysis include have other administrators or even assistant superintendents are they getting the same increase in their salary? Are those things being considered all the way down to the teachers? Is it equitable across the board, or is this just something we're seeing at the top that is very different than what we're seeing for the folks who are most responsible at the end of the day for educating our students?
The 3% between steps was truly because that's based on the management salary schedule for MCOE. And I'm not sure what the steps are in there are fewer steps here, there are a lot more steps on our other salary schedules, and I don't know the percent step between each step, do you know?
I don't remember offhand. We can pull that information.
Absolutely.
That would be helpful to consider, to take action at the next board meeting. It would be look at, well, we're not gonna change the steps are what they've been set. So my question is, on top of those steps, the additional that we're requesting, are we doing that in other places?
Yes, it's already been done. For this year, for every other employee in our agency.
The 1.5 increase one-time payment to all other employees.
Yes.
Starting July 25.
And
So
that's
we got
the
the 1.5.
Okay,
So
and
that would
that's
be
the only thing on top of this, the
1.5,
mandatory steps,
which
that's
is
what I'm
asking
requesting.
for is the 1.5 and the 2,000, right? On
And
top
to
of-
move to the next level.
Yeah. So we have choices. We can vote on the 3% that we've already got in place. And we can also vote on granting the request of the 1.5 and the one-time payment of 2,000. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
I just want to be really clear. I mean, I don't see a lot to wait on for next time. We already have the information presented. We can certainly discuss it. I'm not asking, anyone can make a motion, but I think we should discuss it till we're comfortable.
Can I ask a question? So this is, it's the same, the 1.5, it's 1.5 this year, and it would be 1.5 next year as well?
So it's 1.5 to the entire salary schedule, to each cell, so there are 5 steps, so it'd be 1.5, and it would be
Got it.
ongoing.
And this is commensurate with salary increase that MCOE employees
Correct.
got in their contract?
And theirs is ongoing as well.
Theirs is ongoing as well. As per our board policy, any increase to my salary takes place January 1. So every other employee is on the fiscal year, I'm on the calendar year.
So it won't increase the 3, sorry, we're just beating this up.
That's okay. It's important to understand, that's why it's, yeah.
So we're not taking the 3%, changing it to 4.5.
No, you're not
We're
changing the salary
keeping
schedule.
it 3% and then discussing your request, okay.
I'd like to emphasize again that percentages are a little deceiving.
Because,
okay?
yeah.
It's the same thing, it's the same percent, but 1% of $100,000 is $10,000. 1% of $200,000 is $20,000. So, the higher you are on the salary schedule, the bigger raise you get in real dollars. And over time, there's a separation.
It's a great, thought, Dawn. I'm curious, what does our average teacher for our schools make, MCOE schools, what is their average salary?
So that's information we can bring back. Average salary just for MCOE schools. Not, so you just want the teachers, not all of the certificated staff, only the teaching staff?
I think that's the teachers usually, make the least, not always, but across the board, it would be good to see what that looks like. So 1.5% of $60,000 teacher salary is gonna be very different than someone else's salary.
Sure.
And again, it's not a 1-year thing, it's what's the end result of this if you do it for 10 years? There's gonna be another $100,000 difference in those salaries.
What's the fiscal impact?
Yeah, we can gather that information.
Can I ask for clarification, just so I know what I'm bringing back?
Sure.
So, I'm not sure I understood the answer on, are you looking for just MCOE teachers or certificated staff members?
So not counselors, just the
psychologists
classroom teachers, is that what the request is?
So you guys wanna compare the county superintendent salary to a teacher, and maybe not the county superintendent to something more like,
I
so
don't
we're
think there's
comparing like and like?
Say it again, Nancy. Your last
Do you
sentence.
wanna compare like and like, so taking the county superintendent and trying to find a position that is as comparable to that?
I don't think
to the job?
I don't even think we need to wait. I think the thought is, I'm familiar with teacher salaries, they might look a little bit different here, lower, than urban areas. So I can see our teachers here making, correct me if I'm wrong, Dawn, you're more familiar with the area here, anywhere between 60 to 85, 90 at the most. Honestly, and that's a very experienced teacher as well.
Our
Near
lowest,
retirement.
our lowest with excuse me, I can tell you where our starts and ends. Somebody with the lowest would be 54. That's at the very, very, very beginning. The highest is 105,909. And so that's different units, different years, so different variables considered there. But that's where our range is.
Good questions, guys.
Yeah.
So are we of the thought that we wanted to vote on this, next meeting? Would that make everybody more comfortable? We would normally vote on it next meeting, but we certainly can't vote on it today.
I feel comfortable voting today or next meeting.
Do we have a motion?
I want to comment real quick. I think it's good that the salary increase is being tied to what the other employees are making. I think that's a good way, for administrators to, it's good to have that parity, I think. Just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you, Dave.
I have one more question regarding the fiscal impact and what that means for our overall budget. And I know we don't have an individual here, but hopefully our assistant superintendents or even Nicole, if you want to speak to it. Have we projected out what this will look like in 5-10 years, and is it comparable to other areas?
Yes, when we work on negotiations with all of our staff members, we look at the cost of 1% for all, including the county superintendent, because we want to know what that's going to look like. And then this cost won't be included or wasn't already included in the budget. All other staff members were, so just the additional, and then that's typical within counties and districts as well.
And then we have to look at that for a 3-year projection to make sure that whatever is negotiated is a responsible negotiation, looking 3 years out.
Then what is the COLA?
I'm sorry, what?
What is the COLA
COLA?
in recent years?
Oh gosh, offhand I don't remember.
And this was negotiated last year with other staff, and I don't remember the COLA from last year, but what was negotiated is below the COLA.
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I'm.
yeah, and
Can I ask one more question?
yeah, of course.
So the increase is based on a contract. Where are we at in that for employees? Where are we at in that?
So for our employees, so we negotiate with our classified and certificated. When we settle with them, then we usually do the management, and that's usually closed up. So we have not yet started negotiations for next year yet. That will start this year in the spring usually. Is that right, Heather? When you usually?
Yeah, we usually, this year the whole contract is open, so I might start a little bit earlier. But generally we start conversations around January to get, our meetings scheduled.
Because that's not just compensation, that's also contract language. And then really try to wrap it up by springtime. And so that starting July 1, it's set. And so that's been the cycle that we usually are able to follow.
And are those typically just 1-year contracts, or are they?
We typically do a 1 year,
Okay.
and then the contract language, this year is open, so we usually only sunshine on a few things.
The other thing that it's listed in my letter here, but any increase to the employee benefits is also applied to the superintendent, and that's here as well. But that was it's not practical to have one person different than everybody else. So that's there was nothing additional negotiated regarding benefits this year, but last year it had been. So but we made that clear that it's always going to happen that my benefits mirror the employee's benefits.
Thank you.
When I was negotiating, we always liked multiple year contracts. It saves you a lot of work. Sometimes a lot of hard feelings.
Yeah, this is true. Any more comments before someone entertains a motion?
I have the COLA amounts if you want those before. For 25-26, the COLA, this is projected and it can sometimes change throughout the year. For 25-26, it's 2.3%. For 26-27, it's 3.02%. And then for 27-28, it's 3.42%.
And that's a percentage of our total budget.
Yeah, just of the LCFF revenue.
Yeah.
Which is our primary.
Those are good codes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hank, for looking that up so quickly.
I'm sorry, that was 2.3, 3.02 and 4.42?
3.42.
3.42. Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion on item 4.2, or did we decide to let it go till next?
I move that we approve a 1.5 salary increase to the superintendent salary schedule effective January 1, 2026, and approve a one-time payment of $2,000 off salary schedule paid in January 2026.
Thank you, Nancy. Do we have a second?
Can I ask, is there also, does that motion include moving to the next salary? The next
I'm
level?
sorry, yes, it does include moving to the updated salary schedule.
I'll second.
Let's do
I'm
it.
sorry, step 4.
Heather,
I wanna be specific.
does that fully cover it? I wanna make sure it makes sense.
I think so.
Fiscal.
Advancing the superintendent salary to step 4 and including bullet points 1 and 2
Thank you,
of the
Nancy.
proposal.
And thank
And
you,
is that
David, for the second.
inclusive of health insurance cap increase?
Yes, that's
Okay.
all automatic, yes.
Great, sorry.
We'll do a roll call vote, starting with Nancy.
Yes.
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 Yes. And yes, it's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
4.2 passes. 4.3, approval of lease amendment between MCLE and KZYX.
Before we begin, I want to announce that I am a board member of KCYX, so I will be recusing myself for comment and voting on this item.
Thank you for pointing that out.
So this is being brought forward to you today. We have originally have an agreement with KZYX dating back to the year 2020. And they leased from us that little, we call it the DC portable, that used to be our break room. And we have, like, our historical practice has been to look at, like kind of an in-kind credit. So they've asked for an extension of the lease from our, which was ending in October, to extend it through June 30th of 2026. In doing that, we're also looking at the cost, because we want to make sure we're recouping any costs that are included in there. And this will be the first year where there would actually result in a monthly charge. So the monthly fee, the cost for the facility has been calculated to be just under $600 per month. And then there's a broadcast credit of $542. So the monthly fee would be $53.72. And they have looked at this agreement and are agreeable to the terms.
I know that most of you were aware that we leased to KZYX. The lease agreement has not come to the board before. I think it was just an oversight when it was originally done, which was prior to me taking office. Once I did take office, they asked for an extension, which we granted, and now they've asked for another extension, which we recommend we grant as well, but recognizing now that we know more, we know this should come to the board. This is a decision that the board makes regarding our real estate. And so it should have come to you before. Apologies, I'm sure that my predecessor, that was just an oversight, just like it was an oversight that I didn't bring it to you when we renewed it or extended it. But now that we know better, we want to make sure it does come to the board for this extension.
Thank you.
I did have a couple of questions.
Absolutely, Nancy.
What does underwriting spots look like? Like, what kind of messaging? And then looking at the original contract from 2020, is the insurance kind of up to date to where we need it to be? Because I know, like, building costs have gone up and things are just much more pricier now.
Yes.
Are we considering that as well?
Yes, that is being considered, and we do provide some custodial support and things. And so there's been a couple of moments where like we would see something with the facility and we're like, oh, that might need to get corrected. They're very good about doing it very quickly, so they've been good.
And the underwriting, the message, they'll do a message that we ask them to do, and that gets announced. I think they have scheduled times during the day that MCOE gets their messages and conveyed. And usually it's just, this show is underwritten by a Mendocino County Office of Ed,
Okay.
but occasionally I think we've asked them to do something more specific.
Like school closure information?
No, they'll do school closure, like in their community updates, or, so that is, it's more like when we're trying to promote a particular program, like I think we've done it for our, maybe for our dental assistant program.
Oh, okay.
Remember.
Got it.
I think maybe for, our science fair, we've done some things like that.
Okay, perfect.
It's a really good question. Oh, sorry, because the insurance is skyrocketing for everyone. Whatever, Alyssa, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Just a clarifying question, are they leasing our real estate at market value?
When we looked, it's hard to find a comparison for something so specific to that one. So what we've done is looked at below value to be good, partners in kind of the world we're doing. So it's not technically market value, but it is under. And I think the reason why they asked to lease this facility is because they were, trying to get funds to build their own facility. So it was kind of a partnership when this agreement was made in 2020.
How much below value are they leasing the property? Have they leased the property for? In other words, I see this as a donation. This is almost in a form of a donation partnership. How much have they benefited financially, economically, without leasing it at market value? In other words, it can be looked at what does that number look like? Because those are resources that can go to our students and families. What does that number look like?
I don't have the exact number without having, typically you would have an appraiser or somebody come out to help make that determination. Because of the low cost of that facility lease, I think back in 2020, I think it was determined it probably wouldn't make sense to do so. What we do include in there is our actual costs so that those are being recouped.
I think one of the challenges in figuring out what market, quote unquote, market value is that it's really not open to the open market. We wouldn't be making the facility available to, say, a business or another agency necessarily. This was, I think, originally, this was during COVID. I think the prior superintendent had a radio show, so there was a little bit more overlap in services, I think, at that time. But once they are out of that facility, we will not be looking to rent it to another agency. So we want to make sure that it is not costing us anything to do that, because there are custodial services, maintenance services. That's why there is an increase, because we think that the cost of it has gone up, because this should not cost us anything. It should be cost neutral. So it is, I think that's part of the tricky part of getting the cost of it, or a competitive price, because we wouldn't put this out to other competitors.
And I think also the underwriting spots that we are being, it's kind of an in-kind, so it's not that it's a donation per se, it's just kind of a trade of services.
Right.
If that helps, because I think if we were to go to somebody else.
So we have to report the in-kind amount when it's in-kind? Isn't that reported to the IRS?
No, because of the type of agency we are. We do reporting, but that's not included in that.
Okay.
It's not required to be included in that.
And even if we don't put it on the market to rent, we still have the ability to rent it at a rate that we determine, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And this board does.
I think it's good to keep the round low. I mean, we serve a similar purpose. We're in public education, they're in public radio, and they do a lot of education.
Yeah, they do advertise for us. And this, what we're seeking to approve today is only up until 6/30/26, so theoretically, a little over half a year and some change.
So if it goes beyond that, it will come back to this board.
Yeah. And do we have any more questions before we entertain a motion? Nancy?
I think it's a good partnership. And in reading the original agreement, looks like there's a lot of safety measures that protect students, staff. So I move that we approve the facility use agreement amendment with KZYX.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. No, okay.
And
Abstain.
And one abstain, so we've got 3. Okay, we have our quorum, just checking. All right, so 4.3 passes, we will continue our lease agreement up until 6/30/26. Thank you all. Good questions. Moving on to reports, item 5.1, our MCOE school programs and student enrollment reports.
So I'd like to point out there is an error in the October 2025 column for West Hills. This is 1213 plus 3 graduates. The 12 was not deleted, so it's 13 plus 3 graduates not in Aries. Those are students that are in there, but they've already graduated high school. As you can see, there's not much change in our numbers. We did have 1 drop out of our phlebotomy program, but otherwise our medical assistant and dental assistant programs are running and our CNA is about to start.
Wonderful. Thank you for that correction, Dr. Nicole. Do we have any comments on item 5.1? Everyone's had a chance to read this, I'm sure. No comments? And we will move on to item 5.2, MCOE Human Services Personnel Report.
that's before you, if you have any questions, a lot on it, most of them are
A lot, we've all had a chance to look at that one. No comments? Moving on to item 5.3, our Williams Quarterly Complaint Report, 25 and 26.
So this is for our MCOE school programs. We've had 0 complaints, and none resolved or unresolved because we have had 0 complaints.
Can I clarify one thing? Williams complaints are very specific. Somebody calling is complaining about, somebody took my kid's phone, or, complaining about a teacher, that would not be captured here. Those sorts of kind of day-to-day complaints all the time. These are specific to complaints that fall in a specific category regarding resources or regarding, no, it's regarding resources. Yeah, we have,
Facilities or in.
so staffing and facilities, resources.
And everyone's had a chance to read it. Do we have any questions? Moving on to item 5.4, Ed Services Report with Dr. Nicole Adele.
There's just a few things I would like to highlight. One thing that's not included is that my division's been running ARIES workshops. ARIES is our student information system that almost all of our LEAs and partners use. Some of the smallers use another system, but we've been hosting monthly trainings where we have an ARIES trainer come in. We had almost 40 people in the room last Wednesday, learning more about attendance systems and how to do it better, and all the little intricacies that in areas of things that you didn't know it's capable of doing. And we have those monthly, and we have very high attendance, and it's helping our districts a lot. And then a couple of things I just want to point out that are already in the report is under our student services and wellness. We are, with our new director, we're building out a lot more programs, and our foster program has received some data that they would like to share. So we have the highest homeless count that we've had in Mendocino County at 1,136 students for the 24-25 school year. We're currently serving 161 homeless students weekly at 19 different schools in our county. And we just recently received an increase in the JJCP grant for $70,000 moving forward to help support the food program that we provide students every week. In addition, we have a lot of trainings that have been going on, and a couple that are brand new. We have a family community liaison community practice
We had over 26 individuals in the room about 2 weeks ago, and those are classified staff across the county that come and they support students in the most engaging ways. They're often the first point of contact, and they were able to sit down and say, how do you do it over in your district? You know, what can we do together and to build forward? So we have those coming up. There's several more sessions for additional ones, as well as another in-person session in May. And we're gonna host our first ever classified conference on November 3rd. We had to increase our capacity. We were thinking 50. By the end of day one, we were already at 35 with people still rolling in day after day. We have almost 60 people signed up already. We think we can go to 80. So we're super excited to offer some training for our classified staff.
Great.
I have some questions. Can you remind me what classifies homelessness? Like I'm looking at the doubled up. Does that mean like if you have multiple families living in the same household?
Yes. There's several classifications, but that is one of them. Double up, yes.
Okay, and then shelter is obviously like a homeless shelter.
Yes, there's also depending on the facility they're living in. If they're living in a travel trailer, that also counts because it has wheels and it's made to move and it's not something that's been set down stationary for the long term. It could be also the classification of what the facility has. So for example, when I worked over in Williams, we had our migrant camp. It was a camp that had solid buildings, but because of the AC and the heating issues that were there, that they didn't really provide any, that was considered homeless shelter as well because of the fact that it didn't have things that we consider necessary, at least in that area in the Central Valley when it gets to you know, very high temperatures.
Yeah.
So there's different classifications that they can fall under.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Any more questions?
Can you repeat the number? I'm sorry, what was the overall student homelessness? It was
For last year, it was 1,136. And we have about 12,500 in the county students
There's a
total.
link right there. You click on the link.
And this is homeless only, not homeless and foster care.
Correct.
And then if
Okay.
you scroll over here, it'll tell you all the
It's a lot. Any more comments or questions? Moving on to item 5.5, business and administrative services. Report with Heather Rantala.
I'm gonna keep mine very short because we have Rain Bartow who's gonna be presenting on some of the work happening in facilities in a little bit. Just to highlight just a couple of really small small items, but a lot of work. In the fiscal world, we just recently finished closing our books. So we're jumping right into working with the auditors to get the audit wrapped up, and then working on first interim. And we're also working with our school district and charter school business office staff and bringing in some additional training opportunities for them. Per the request, they're looking for some things that we don't typically do. So we're bringing in things like school and college legal services to work on ethics and Brown Act as it applies to the business world for their school board meetings and things like that. So I'm gonna keep mine really short, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Any questions for Heather? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving on to item 5.6, superintendent's report with Nicole Unser.
Yeah. So in the last month since I've seen you, we had a lot's been going on, including we had an all-staff meeting, which we have quarterly. The North Bay Construction Corps has had a couple of events, including a mixer and recognition. They held that in Willits. The North Bay Construction Corps they do the that's the program that Eric Crawford has been partnering with. He's from our agency, doing the training for students, some soft skills in classroom training, and then construction training on the site. That's something that starts in the spring. And so they did a really nice recognition of all the partners, the different construction agencies that sent some of their professionals to teach some of the classes, and So anyway, that was fantastic. I am on a new committee through the Association of California School Administrators. So this is a statewide committee for their leadership development. So I'm very excited to be part of that. I've been part of AXA for I think over 20 years now. And so on this committee, we discuss some of the other committees. And so I've sat on some of those other committees. And so it's all very, some of it's a little bit dry, but for me, it's very interesting to look at some of the work that I've done in the past from a different angle. But really trying to make sure that that the needs of administrators are met with real-time, like what are the actual needs today? What's the latest legislation? What's the new changes in law, new changes in funding to make sure that the support that the administrator gets is really supporting the needs of the classroom. So really glad to be on that committee. The League of Women Voters held their annual meet and greet on the coast. Really wonderful, pretty well attended. Got to meet some people who are always excited to be reminded that the county superintendent is an elected official. But that was a really well-run mixer. Mendocino College American Indian Heritage Celebration was a few weeks ago. Really fantastic at the college. They do some really good work, and got to see some former students behind some tables doing some work. Now they're working in different agencies that are supporting different, nonprofit and social services. So that was a wonderful experience. The California Conservation Corps, who were our neighbors for 2 or 3 decades, a long time, and now they have their grand opening in Willits. The facility there is amazing. It was really inspiring to see what the youth are doing. Youth, I think they're 18 to 25. But that's a facility, if you ever have an opportunity to be there for an event, I highly recommend it. They have they have a gymnasium, they have a kind of a big event room, not to mention dorms and business buildings. So, and that was attended by our state senator, our state assembly member, a lot of people there. The California County Superintendents just returned 2 weeks ago from the general members meeting, and they also do an annual recognition, and we were part of Region 1 in that group, which includes Sonoma, Mendocino, Lake, Del Norte, and Humboldt counties, and we collectively nominated Mike McGuire for an award which he was not able to attend, but he was the recipient of that award. And just as a side note, you may recall that we did a CSBA nomination that has not yet been decided yet, so we'll find out more on that. I attended a small school districts association forum in Santa Rosa and got to spend some time. It was also attended by one of the Willits board members and the superintendent from Fort Bragg. The Small School District Association is doing some really fantastic work to support districts. They had presenters. They had some presenters from a law firm, from social and emotional learning collaborative. I forget the name of the group, but so it was after something like that. I usually try to see what I can send off that will be applicable to our school leaders. So I sent some of that off. But that was really fantastic. Are any of you getting the SSDA emails? I need to see if we can add them, because I think that you would maybe like some of the stuff. So if we can't add you, I'll start forwarding you some of their good work. They've been around for a long time, but it's really been the last 1.5 to 2 years that they've really upped their game. They're doing a lot to support school boards as well, including school board training. So there were several board members at this last training. And then I'll wrap it up with 2 things. Last week I had the pleasure of attending the Principals Network. We had an author, M.K. McDonald, who's presented in our county before. It was amazing. The Principals Network is something that we really restarted last year. It had gone away for a number of years, but wanted to make sure that our principals have a collaborative group that they can come and talk to about the work that they're doing throughout the county. And it was inspiring to be with our site principals from different schools. We had charter schools, schools from the coast, schools inland, a decent representation considering that it's a hard time of year for them to get off their sites. But it was really good work, and one of the things that the presenter talked about is many of us are familiar with the term ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences, and the impact that has on short-term and long-term well-being. But the other flip side of that, a study done in 2018 is on positive childhood experiences and the significant impact that those positive experiences can have regardless of somebody's ACEs score. That those positive childhood experiences can really be transformational, and some of the important work that's being done to really facilitate that. And it was great to hear. Sometimes it can be a lot to think about all we wish our kids had that they don't have. But this was kind of a recognition of that, and then an acknowledgement of what we can give, what they do have, and what they do have access to, and what we can actually do to help. So it was really inspiring. And then I'll close on, this is Week of the School Administrator. Thank you. Last month you adopted that resolution, and this week is the week that we recognize the good work that our administrators are doing throughout the state of California. And I just want to recognize that in Mendocino County, I think we must have a much higher per capita ratio of really high quality administrators. There's some really dedicated people here, and it's always great to get out and work with them. So, and with that, I'll wrap up my report, unless there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I think everybody's good. We'll move on to item 5.7, board member reports. I just wanted to say that I was really disappointed I didn't get to join the mixer. I was really looking forward to it, but I had a conflict appointment come up at the last minute. To take an official moment to welcome David Strock, our newest member, and I can't see your name, Selena Ortiz, our student board member. Welcome, 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 officially. And I will start down the line here with Priscilla, and we'll move down, and you'll be the last one if you wanted to say anything, but don't feel pressured. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. I wanted to read an email I sent to Nicole to be entered into public record. I'll share it with our staff so that it is made available to the public. And then I have a response letter as well that I haven't shared. We had a loss in our family, so I haven't been able to get that out. I received some of the data along with all of you in regards to the impact of the equity of the new policy that we passed recently. After the board meeting, I sent this email. I hope you're doing well. As I reflect on the board's recent decision to revise the eligibility criteria for student trustees, I found myself curious about the potential impact these changes may have across different student populations in our county. In particular, I'm interested in understanding how many students would be affected by each of the new criteria and whether these impacts are equitably distributed. Given the existing disparities we've seen, for example, the overrepresentation of American Indian students in suspension, expulsion, and truancy data, I'd like to better understand who may be excluded under the new policy. To that end, I'd like to request the following data. For each of the 5 new eligibility criteria: 1, MCLE students who have ever been expelled from any school in the county, MCLE students who have less than 90% attendance. 3, MCLE students currently on probation or who would require probation approval. 4, MCLE students who do not have good grades. 5, MCLE students who do not have staff recommendations. In addition, please provide data on overall eligibility. Students who do not meet one or more of these qualification requirements and are therefore ineligible to be on a ballot for peer selection. 7, students who meet all qualification requirements and are therefore eligible to be on the ballot for peer selection. Lastly, please include the following data sets. Students who are currently incarcerated at West Hills within our MCLE schools, students who are formerly incarcerated at MCLE, all MCLE schools except West Hills, and then 10 students who are not currently incarcerated at MCLE schools, all MCLE schools except West Hills. For each criteria and data set, please share the following disaggregated data: the number of students disqualified or qualifying, disaggregated by race and ethnicity or ethnicity, disaggregated by gender, and disaggregated by school site. This data will help me better understand how the policy plays out in practice, especially in terms of access to student leadership opportunities. I'm genuinely interested in learning more and ensuring that we're creating an environment where all students, especially those from communities that have historically faced systemic barriers, have equitable pathways to leadership. Because the student trustee plays such a critical role in representing youth voice at the county level, I believe it's important that we understand who may be excluded under the new current criteria, particularly as the selection and appointment are underway. Timely access to this data would help clarify the real world impact of the policy and ensure that the process reflects our shared commitment to equity and inclusion. So we received data that I cannot share because we've been asked not to share it because there's low numbers, so it might be revealing who those student groups are. And my response is, and I'll share this letter and an ongoing concern about the new policy we adopted. Take a moment to address the board's recent policy revision regarding student trustee eligibility and the data that was shared in response to my requests. I deeply appreciate our superintendent or our staff's effort to provide the information. However, I'm concerned that what we receive still doesn't allow the board or the public to understand the equity impact of this new policy. We're given raw numbers with portions redacted, but no percentages, no analysis, in some cases no data at all. Without that level of transparency, it becomes very difficult for this board to fulfill its governance role or to evaluate whether our decisions are advancing or undermining equity across student populations. As I reviewed the data, I became increasingly concerned about what it doesn't show. The response included raw numbers without percentages or contextual analysis. We can't see how these criteria are actually affecting our students, particularly our Native youth. We know from our own county data that Native students in Mendocino County continue to experience higher rates of exclusion through suspension, expulsion, and truancy, representing over half of truant students. When we add new barriers such as attendance thresholds, disciplinary history, or probation requirements, we risk deepening inequities that already exist. My concern is that without a clear impact analysis, we can't confidently say that this policy upholds our shared commitment to equity and inclusion. In fact, it may unintentionally disqualify the very students whose voices we most need to hear, those navigating systems that have historically excluded them. As a board, we have an obligation to ensure that every student, including our Native youth, has a fair opportunity to participate in leadership and civic engagement. I'd like to request that staff prepare an equity impact summary of the eligibility criteria and our new policy for student leadership trustee position with disaggregated percentages and analysis by race, gender, and school site. This information will not only help us understand the real world implications of the policy, but also guide future decisions that reflect our values and responsibilities to all students in our county. And in reflection, I'd also like to ask, when we do have a new policy that the superintendent is asking for us to adopt or consider, that an equity impact report is provided with this type of information, especially when it's in regards to students and staff, whether it be salary increases or, policies regarding student leadership and their eligibility to serve as a leader in our community. It's really hard to make a decision without this because it's like shooting in the dark without knowing how it will impact our population. Now that our student population, now that we've already adopted it, we should be looking at this data when we're adopting new policies, not after, because it's very clear, even with the data that was presented to us, with which is, in my opinion, very poor quality. It's very clear that there's a disproportionate impact on students who have been impacted by the systems that are part of some of the schools that we serve, like West Coast and the juvenile justice system. So that is what I'm doing in regards to student equity and student leadership. Following up with that is really important for me and should be important for all of us. In addition, thank you, Nicole, for updating the list of events for us to attend. I was able to, I attend a lot of community events, definitely went to Native Heritage Night at the community college. I was glad to see some of our student leaders, their parents there. And then also, there was one more thing. Update, I was appointed by the juvenile superior judge for our county to serve as the chair for the Juvenile Justice Delinquency Prevention Commission for our county, so that's another update. My leadership, thank you.
Thank you. And what I got out of that too is that you want the equity impact.
Yes,
Heard that one. Okay.
yes, and I'll follow up with a letter with them for staff that includes what we need in order to be truly reflective, and also for that letter to be entered into public record.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank you.
Dawn, moving on the line.
Yeah, I've been somewhat concerned about different cuts to education at the federal level. And I wondered, is any of that impacting us?
Yes. There's we were part of a consortium. The one thing that comes to mind, Nicole helped me think what it was called, that Napa County was the lead on it, but we were part of the PPII or something.
PEPT, don't ask me what it stands for, but it's Early Education and Inclusion Program.
So there may be additional, that's the one most recently where that was, where we received, we had to go through a letter of disengagement with NAPA because we were engaged in work with them for early education. So that is super disappointing and important work that's been done through that. Work that impacts the classroom directly. So approximately 10% of funds for schools comes from the federal government. That's, very roughly speaking. But that is the most recent thing that we're seeing leave our, that those funds leave our agency.
That's a good question, Dawn. I was curious about the health insurance. I know we had an increase already, and I'm hoping we're not gonna have a big one in 2026. But I don't know that we know any of that.
I don't think we know.
I think the impact's coming in 2026, the big ones.
Yeah, it's all a real concern,
Yeah.
that's my feeling.
Thank you, Dawn. David?
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me, and I look forward to doing what I can to serve the students of this county and the 3rd district where I represent. I don't have anything to report as of yet, but I look forward to working with all of you. I think it's a great group of it's a great board, and we all seem like we're very concerned and really want to advocate for students. So I'm glad to be a part of that.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Nancy?
Just short and sweet. September 22nd, actually Nicole and I attended an ACCBE, and what it stands for is Association of California County Boards of Education. We did attended a piece on effective governance for county boards, and a big part of that was, and feel free to chime in anytime, was getting our board on kind of the same level, and getting together for interactions is really important in building those relationships and trust, and then they went over some policies that you should probably have in place, and calendars, and I think that we're really doing well.
Doing a lot of what they said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Welcome, Selena.
I don't have anything to say yet, but thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Moving on to item 6.1, our press release announcing the GASP grants for the 25-26 school year. Do we have any questions about the Get Arts in the Schools? It's coming up with November 14th deadline. Moving on to item 6.2, review our MCOE meeting schedule for 2026. That's important.
So we want to get this to you early. This we bring back in December for final approval. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we've kind of taken, if we were to repeat this last year on the same dates, this is what it would look like. We can do something different, but I wanted to start with something. We took the times out because the time of the meeting is something also that we might want to discuss. And with new board members, I think that I'm getting a sense that a later in the day meeting may be more suitable for people, like a 2 p.m. meeting. But again, that is the board's decision. So I left it out because it's a point of discussion. And again, this doesn't have to be approved today. It's to start looking at, and we should be approving it by December. But we wanted to get up on it early. You will see that September 14th, we do have a 5:30 p.m. one, and that's because of the lesson that we learned this year about needing to have a hearing that does not take place during the school day or immediately after the school day. But all the other meetings that we have here, the times can be set by the board. There's a meeting that takes place in March 6th, that's an annual planning workshop. That's usually off this site. We've generally had it at some sort of conference room on the coast. And that is usually a scheduled, I think at 9 or 10 a.m. And it's more of a study session, and so kind of like a longer day, not a longer day, but we plan for a couple hours. We have lunch in the middle of it. So we haven't put the location there because we haven't determined that yet, and we haven't put the time.
Thank you. Yeah, I myself appreciate having the morning meetings, but I didn't realize it was an option since it's always been a morning meeting since I've been here. For me, middle of the day breaks up the whole day. You still can't go, you can't plan anything if it's in the middle of the day. In the morning, you can still plan something, but then there's the driving at night for all the people on the coast. They'll be driving in the dark and the storms. So.
When I started, a 10 a.m. meeting was, I was just curious what time most county boards have their meetings. Ours is definitely earliest that I encountered, and I didn't check every county. But of those I checked, 3 p.m. was 3 or 4 p.m. was a pretty standard time. I do think that we have a distance and driving conditions that need to be considered. But just wanted to put it out there, it's really up to this board. Staff gets on board with whatever you do, this is your meeting.
10 is perfect for me. I like it.
Me too.
I did notice that we're not meeting on any of the school district campuses.
We have not yet determined that. By the time this comes to you for final approval, we would like to have at least 2 campuses here.
All right, good, thank you.
It is nice to visit,
Yeah, it's nice to visit.
as long as we're not disruptive.
So will that be an agendized board item we discuss at the next meeting?
We thought we would bring it back between now and December
Okay.
until it's finalized.
Okay.
So that there's time to look at things or consider things, but wanted to get on your radar soon, because this is getting this set really, we plan a lot of things around these dates, so we wanna make sure we've got the right times and dates.
Would it be possible to change these meetings to, and this is something we can discuss, but I wanted to ask this question early, to Tuesdays and Wednesdays, because my family travels quite often to engage in tradition, and that sometimes means not coming home for a Monday morning meeting right away. They're also homeschooled, so Tuesday and Wednesday, if possible, if there's no huge barrier, would be very helpful
That's interesting.
instead of a Monday. But keeping it at 10, I agree, yeah, it's a great time.
I probably wouldn't be able to move I've asked for these a year in advance, my Mondays, because I'm a hygienist and I'm booked 6 months at least in advance, 6 to 8 months in advance. So it would be a problem for me to change it, but I don't know how that works with with the all of you guys' schedule.
We make it work for your schedule. If they're going to move off of Mondays, we would be looking at the availability of this room, because this is the primary room that we use for professional development. We try to avoid Mondays for professional development because that's also a frequent day that people are out sick. So we don't want to exacerbate the sub-condition in our school districts. So Monday has felt a little bit safer, but we can, like I said, it's up to this board. You guys get to set that. And additionally, if you wanna change the day from Monday to a different day, starting in July 1, or, you know, all of those things are options.
This is true.
It would be okay with me, you know, free up my Sundays.
All right, let's see. Moving on to item 6.3, our M&O facilities update with Ryan Bartow. Welcome, Ryan. Thank you for hanging out with us.
So I'm gonna bring up one thing, so he's gonna do a presentation, and then, it looks like it stopped raining, but we have umbrellas on, for us to tour. So we're going to go and do a brief tour of facilities. So you can ask him questions as you would like, but you'll have more of Ryan. This is the last item on the agenda. Once Ryan is done, we're gonna stop the recording, and the public, such as they are welcome to come with us on the meeting, and then we will adjourn, but we're not gonna go back into YouTube to adjourn, because we're just gonna adjourn. So if you have questions that aren't answered in this presentation, you'll have more of Ryan on tour.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for your time. And this is mainly an update of, since we met about this time last year, we try to keep kind of brief to give us more time on site so you can see in person some of the work we've done. So this is just a quick breakdown of what I'm going to show for you. Some of the things I may breeze over rather quickly, just again to give us more time on site. Feel free to stop me at any time to ask any questions. You know, very simply, we're here to make sure that the facilities is in the best condition we can to let the students and staff succeed. So we want to make sure it's a safe environment for everybody. It's the most conducive for the learning of the students and allowing staff to support them as best they can. We kind of fit in, for the most part, into the 4 main categories, just like all of us. We all have things that don't perfectly fit in those categories, but for the most part, maintenance and upkeep of the buildings themselves, grounds custodial work, capital projects, which you'll see is the CNA project falls into that, and then also supporting our district partners. We've been doing a lot of work helping them with specifically their capital projects, but in one way or another, we're kind of bouncing around between those 4 tiers to try to support as best we can. Let me skip this one. So the main projects we've completed since we last spoke is we remodeled the Alder break room that we can probably do a walkthrough, assuming that there's no rain. We can kind of got a path figured out that we can kind of see most of these. We've also upgraded the main entries of this building and the older building to have accessible entries. So you have those push buttons, panels to open the doors in case you have any difficulty opening them. Over at the Talmadge State Preschool, you'll see we installed a 30-foot by 40-foot shade structure over the play structure to allow the kids to play out there on the hot days without, as much concern. And then one that we won't be able to see today, we were able to do some concrete repair on the center building over in Ore Creek, which is the Willow building, and then we installed a dividing fence to allow different age groups to both be outside at the same time without having any concerns of interaction. You see here, top right picture, we have our Alder break room again that we'll be able to go by and see. All new cabinets, flooring, paint, upgraded refrigerator, because that is the highest occupied building on our campus, and so we wanted to accommodate for the number of staff bringing their lunches from home. See your picture is just the front door of the Alder building for showing the push plate and the door functioning. And here, so this was our 30-foot by 40-foot shade structure. We did this over the summer. It's a steel structure with a 10-year fabric cloth over the top. Again, it allows the air to breathe so it doesn't trap as much heat in. but it keeps the kids in the shade for a good portion of the playground. There's also some trees and stuff to give some natural shade, which is always nice. To accommodate the size of the shade structure, we did redesign the concrete pathway just a little bit. One of the requests of early learning care was to still have that circular shape because the kids like to ride their bikes in a circle. So we didn't want to hinder that from being available to them. As you can see here on your two left pictures, top and bottom, is Ore Creek facing the Willow building. The top picture, top left picture, you'll see it's kind of a makeshift little fencing and a single table area that was there available for students to use. But again, you have the elementary, middle school students in that Willow building, and then you had the high school students in the Madrone. They couldn't be out there at the same time. And so, as you can see on the right, two pictures, we put that small wall up that supports the skirting that goes around the building, and then also installed the fencing to allow, again, students to all get as much outside activity as possible. So right now, current projects we have in the works is, you'll see today, the CNA remodel for career and technical education to provide. Right now they have grants for, I believe, 3 cohorts at no cost to students. So we're in the process of finishing that up. We're hoping to have them in by next month to begin education. We're in the process of working on the remodel. This rains that we had a couple weeks ago, we found about a 4 to 5 foot puddle in the middle of the floor. So as you can imagine, we have to address that as well. We're going to be bringing in outside contractors for that portion of it. As planned with business administration team, we are looking at replacing the roof on this building and the Birch building as well. Again, a lot of these are well beyond their service life and leaking, and the worst thing is they just cause more damage, and the longer you let them go, it just exponentially increases costs. And then, as we've discussed before, we have gotten grants for EV chargers, and I'll get into that in a minute. So this is good. So if you see here, it's about a 3,000 square foot space. The building it's a 6,000 square foot actual structure. We're taking the north half of the building to accommodate the layout that the students need. We've removed and relocated walls. We installed new plumbing, including automatic water heaters. Refurbished the HVAC system. We're all new flooring throughout, new LED lights, because the lights were just random different colors and the layout just was not conducive to learning. And then we're working with our IT department for, as you'll see over there, you got the main floor, as you can see in the bottom picture here, is the new layout. It's a little bit kind of busy, but the main floor, when we get over there, I'll show you, is where all the students will have lecture, and then you'll have 3 other smaller rooms. One is a skilled nursing facility mock-up, one is a doctor's office mock-up, and one is a simulation lab. It'll be similar like your ER room would be. One of the big tasks for IT in this case is they are helping install cameras and microphones and speaker systems that'll allow the teacher to bring only 2 or 3 of the students that are actually in the activity into the room. So there's not a crowd in there and there's not as much distraction. But the other students will be able to watch, hear, and see EKG feedback and all that from the large TVs in the lecture room. The lecture room is going to have a very similar setup to this. You'll have the 2 large TVs and then a whiteboard for the teacher to use. And then there'll be a third one up the back where this clock is. That one will actually show the EKG machine for when the students are participating in activity. Part of the grant money, Eric Crawford's team was able to procure mannequins that will reenact various medical conditions that the students then had to assess and figure out ways to address those. Again, you see some pictures, we'll say you see the pool table there, that was the layout that the CCC used. The bottom right picture was actually an area that they used as an older computer lab. You see some general framing and relocation of walls, some of the plumbing work that my staff was able to do to accommodate hot water. We're installing 3 countertop areas including 4 sinks. And then one of the other options we did is you'll see the hallway when we get over there, there's observation windows. So if some students just don't learn as well watching a monitor, they can watch from the hallway. They're only a couple feet away. So it's a little bit giving the students more options. So just for reference, the roofing projects, we're looking from the west. You see the cedar building in the top left picture here that we're in now. The birch building, as we know, is this one over here. And then when we walk over there, the CNA building, which was formerly used by the CCC. Half the building that we're not currently working on is a cafeteria and somewhat commercial grade kitchen. And then the area we're working on again is for the CNA. All 3 of those roofs we're working on addressing currently. And then, so working with Heather and her team, we were awarded a grant of $39,000 from the California Energy Commission for the installation of electric vehicle chargers here for fleet use. We also partnered with Sonoma Clean Power, which will provide 6 of those chargers. The project, as of right now, is to install the 6 chargers and the infrastructure to allow up to 15 chargers. So as we're going to be working with her team to go after more grants and find other outside funding sources to allow us to increase that capacity. As you know, we came last month before, about the MCOE solar project, partnering with Ciserco, installing solar, your standard, what you picture as solar at your house here at the River campus, at Ore Creek, and at the MCCS campus. We're currently working through that now. One of the focuses is to get the structural design for this building, what's going to be needed to power this building and Birch, because the solar array for those 2 buildings will be mounted on this roof. And so what I'm trying to prioritize is getting the bracketry that holds the actual solar on your roof. If we can get that installed by the roofer that's going to do the typical re-roof, instead of retrofitting brackets on later, and then therefore potentially compromising any kind of warranty we may have. So some of the grant opportunities that we've been working on, as some of you may know, we've been working with Leggett Valley Unified School District, specifically for their Whale Goal School, and the County of Mendocino. We applied and were awarded a Community Development Block Grant to install automatic fire alarm systems in 2 of the school buildings they have out there that do not currently have those. And then also there's to address an ADA pathway concern from one of the buildings to the exterior bathroom facility. Another project we're currently working on, our grant we're working on with a firm known as Terracon, is the Brownfield Cleanup Act grant that provides funding for assessment and abatement of hazardous materials such as asbestos, lead. If you have underground contamination, that you had maybe storage tanks from fuel or other kind of hazardous materials there. The one thing that we're really excited for is MCOE is applying for the grant, but one thing that we're working with them is the grant allows us to do the assessment and abatement of MCOE owned properties, but we're also allowed to use some of that funding for the assessment of some of the Mendocino County schools. And so as we get a little further along there, we're going to be reaching out to the Mendocino County schools to see which ones have known issues or high suspected issues. We're all very aware. Ms. Glencher and Ms. Rantle and I visited Potter Valley. We know that they have some concerns. I believe from when I used to play basketball there, I think Covelo still has concerns in some of their areas. And then I think Anderson Valley is the other one that's a very well-known concern. So we've been partnering with the California Department of Education as part of their SASE grant program, which is supporting American school infrastructure. The U.S. Department of Education awarded $37 million in funds over the next 5 years to help increase capacity of states to support our high need, i.e. a lot of our smaller school districts that just don't have the staff or the capacity to go after some of these, some of the work that they need to do. We are partnering directly with the CDE, Nevada County Office of Education, the Office of Office of the Fresno County Superintendent of Schools. We've been doing some site assessments to help them determine what some of their needs are for applying for the grant. We did about half of the assessments about 3 weeks ago, I think. And we got the remaining scheduled for in November. 7 of our 15 Mendocino County schools qualify for SASE grant criteria. One of the nice things is the schools that can't directly participate are going to have access to some of the resources stuff that come out of it. Part of it is we're looking at creating templates and other resources and roadmaps for schools that they get new staff in, they get a grant or they get a ball and they do this, they don't know what the next steps are. And so a lot of it is just giving them somewhere to go, someone to reach out to. And so the 7 schools that are eligible, they will be worked with correctly, but all the remaining schools are also able to access those resources once they are developed.
Bless you.
Thank you, Susan.
Some notable topics is, as you might be able to see, they're actually pretty popular, as you can imagine, is we received 3 of our new Toyota Camrys for our fleet. One of them has been issued over to the Coast Campus and 2 of them are here. They are all-wheel drive hybrids, 50 miles per gallon. All-wheel drive was an option because it's a little safer during some of our wet weather around here, especially going up to some of our further reaching sites. One of the benefits of some of the newer cars is some of our cars were getting quite up there in age, and then just the likelihood of a breakdown or something like that. We all know Mendocino County is very rural, and there's a lot of areas where you just do not have cell coverage, and so to try to prevent any kind of issues with that, we wanted to start working on getting our fleet swapped out. As you approved at a previous board meeting, we are surplusing some of our older vehicles that have just not been used and are no longer needed by MCOE. To date, we have listed 3 vehicles. 2 of them have completed auction. One was a 91 GMC. We got $1,150 when we were originally estimated to get about $400 to $500 for it. Same thing, an older Chevy Tahoe. We got $1,500. And currently, we have the older GMC pickup that was an M&O pickup used for landscaping that is at that point in time where the cost of repair is worth more than the vehicle.
I did both those. The
Huh?
91 GMC and the 2002 Tahoe.
Wow.
I'm running good home.
I actually wish I would brought the picture. I found a picture. The 91 GMC van MCOE bought brand new. We found an actual Polaroid picture of it. I wish I would have used that instead of the Toyota because
I love it.
it was what it looked like then versus now.
Classic.
It's got its miles worth. We're currently conducting fits on the facility side. As you may have, Veronica and them may have shared, we're now up to 32 schools this year that we're inspecting.
The FIT is a fiscal inspection tool that's used at all school sites.
Thank you.
It's hard. That includes 18 new schools and 14. They create a new list every 3 years that lets us know which schools that we need to inspect. We have to inspect a minimum of 20% of classrooms and all shared areas. So far, we're about halfway through. This year, so when I started last year, we were doing it all on paper and clipboard, and we were averaging about 2 schools a day out in the field, and then once we returned, it was about 3 schools a day to take the terrible handwriting we all have on clipboards and putting it into a legible report and sending it to the schools for their use in their SART reports. This year, we're using a digital platform that you can run off your phone or a tablet. It allows us to not only get clear explanations of things, but we also have photos to share with schools to be very specific of what the issue is, so that they can have a better chance of addressing properly and in a more timely manner. 2 weeks ago, I presented with this as part of the SASE grant program with the California Department of Education at the California Schools Facility Consortium. It's a annual summit where all the County Office of Education, either maintenance and operations directors or some superintendents participate in. It's a good chance for everyone. We bounce ideas off of each other. We're able to learn about new legislation that's potentially coming out, and bring those back to our counties for dispersing and acting on. Any questions?
Absolutely, thank you, Ryan. I was having a hard time waiting for the end of your presentation. I know for me, I lose track when I'm talking, but I wanted to break in and kind of piggyback on what Dawn asked earlier, because that's really in the back of my mind, when you try and go to sleep and all those things about you. The funding cuts, and we've got this wonderful grant that we obtained November 17th of 23, and it's supposed to be going out for 5 years. Is that money that we've already gotten, or is the federal government going to dole it out? And was this part of the big beautiful bill slashing?
For the SASE grant you're referring to?
Yeah, the SASE.
So that wasn't a grant that was directly given to us. It was to create the grant program.
Mm-hmm.
We are just partnering with the California Department of Education as and kind of boots in the field advisor.
So it's not based on federal funds.
It is federal
It's
funds.
U.S. Department of Education, though.
Yeah, it is federal dollars that was awarded to the California Department of Education.
So they have an issue.
It's been awarded and they can't take it back and slash it?
I think that there is a portion of it that could be slashed. That is not gonna, it's not gonna take away any of the work that they're doing with us though.
Oh, good, okay. Phew, thank you, that was my.
So I wondered what materials, what type of roof are you putting on the building?
These are composite shingle. That is a mineral overlayment, just like what's typically on there. And then for the CNA facility, it's like an asphalt emulsion, and then it gets a white for Title 24 covering over the top.
Yeah.
The shingles is a 30-year warranty. This one's a 20, and then the one that we're doing on the CNA is actually a 40-year no dollar limit warranty.
Yeah.
So.
And that's going over the old roofs?
No, these will be a tear off. We know on this roof there is some from previous leaks. There is some damage that we're going to address once the roof is torn off.
Yeah.
That one, that's typically you seal it, prime it, and then you coat over the top of the existing roof. We are also addressing, so whenever you have an air conditioner or something like that, you have the transition from the roof that holds the unit is called a curb or equipment curb. We're replacing all those because a lot of those were not designed properly, I hate to say. So we're replacing all of those. We're eliminating on both these buildings unnecessary penetrations because, as you know, on the far end of this building and then the far end of this this in. Were bathrooms at one point, so you have vent holes, stuff like that, that are just irrelevant at this point.
Yeah. And the other question I had was on the vehicles.
Sure.
We have a number of electric vehicles, I believe, don't we?
Currently we have, the Foster and Homeless Youth has a plug-in hybrid, Chrysler Pacifica van. And then the 3 Toyota Camrys are not plug-ins, they're just hybrids. And then we have 4 Toyota RAV4s on order that are also hybrids but non-plug-in.
So we're putting in new chargers. Is it for those vehicles or?
That'll allow us to transition over, yes, because the problem is right now we have no way to, if we were to buy a plug-in, aside from the ones that plug into like the 110 outlet, we'd have no way to charge them. And so that's allowing us so that once we get those in, future replacements will be able to be plug-ins. And then also, having the solar will offset the cost of those plugins as well.
I've got all of that. I don't have an electric bill. It's really nice.
And one thing I kind of glossed over a little too quickly is we're actually currently working on 2 solar projects in a way. Your typical solar project like you would have at your house is called backup meter, and so it's on your side of the meter.
Right.
So it allows you to augment costs and reduce your bill every day.
We still pay our user fee.
Yeah, they'll get you a little bit somehow. But the other, we're working with PG&E through a grant program that they have. We're actually in the process of applying for. It's called a microgrid grant program.
Yeah.
So it actually it's a fully funded zero match if approved to install solar and battery backup but it's on their side of the meter. So basically instead of having a backup generator that would kick on when your power goes out, it'll pull from that.
Yeah.
And it still runs through the meter, so we're getting charged. So our bill, AP isn't gonna see the difference, but staff here will be able to continue to work. So, and that'll be a campus-wide if approved.
Yeah, good.
So now we were going to do a brief tour if the board would still be interested in that. It doesn't look like it's raining. We do have extra umbrellas in case, which we can bring with us. And are we walking over or?
We did prepare the vans for the board.
Okay.
We will take a potty break.
We'll take, and then we will not read, you can adjourn the meeting out there.